Hi, this is Peter Godinez, your ambassador with K80Y TV with Good Morning Oxnard. And again, as I always say, just being in the presence of George Miller, it's just hard to describe. But he's going to again share some things that you just can't find in regular media. So I'm just going to shut up because I talk too much and turn it over to my brother from another mother,
All right.
George Miller.
Good morning, Oxnard, and good morning, Peter.
It always is a good morning when I'm with you, George.
Likewise. All right. It was a long day yesterday. Well, first off, I want to congratulate the Community Relations Commission on putting on an outstanding multicultural festival over the weekend. You know, normally when I go to festivals, it's just a bunch of booths selling something. This one really had an international cultural theme, had some great acts as well, and even managed to attract the first ever female American boxing gold medalist. Alicia Shields was there too. And they were also there to promote the Special Olympics. And I guess Oxnard is a partner in the Special Olympics this summer in Los Angeles. But I want to thank them again for doing a great job. I just wish the food was better. The food wasn't that good.
We're gonna have to our own section of food by Miller, you know.
Well, we ended up going to the Red Lobster.
That was it. Oh, God.
We had a gift card that we hadn't used. It was about to expire. Yeah. Well, the really big news this week is we were really on the map. The police department held a news conference on the Limon killing. As folks probably know, a couple of years ago, Alfonso Limon was walking home to his house in Colonia, walked right into the middle of a gang battle. Police ended up dead. The circumstances are still in contention, but the bottom line is that the city paid out a $6.7 million settlement to the family. But the family, to their credit, also insisted on making some changes in the way the city is run and the police department is run as a condition of the settlement. This news conference was one of the conditions where the city officials and the police department expressed their great regrets over it, and also talked about positive things they're doing for the community as a result of that. One of the biggest things that's probably going to push over is that the police will be equipped with cameras which will protect both them and the public. So it's not he said, she said anymore. It's like, this is what's on the camera. And it's not that simple a process. They've got to run through a testing procedure, bidding, procurement, and all that. They expect to have those operational within a year. That was one announcement at the news conference. There are also some training and procedural things as well. It was interesting that there were people there from the Department of Justice, the DA's office. I heard the FBI, but I didn't meet anyone from the FBI, because they've taken a great interest in this case as well. We wrote a very interesting article about that, which you can access on citizensjournal.us or on Facebook, Citizens Journal Ventura County, and read about it. Now, in a related matter, the Community Relations Commission had established a subcommittee to study public safety. One of the things they were looking into was some of these problems with police violence. And there's different factions, some of whom wanted to push the cameras, some of whom wanted a police review board and other things. But to make a long story short, the subcommittee was holding meetings, and then at the last meeting of the committee, the head commissioner, the chairman, Orlando Dozier, dissolved the subcommittee because he felt it was outside the scope of the work that the commission was doing. Very interesting development. Last night I got an email from Orlando telling me that the subcommittee has been reinstated, which is very, very significant. There's a lot of people that want to see that done. But some people don't want to go to the extent of having the police review board. On the other hand, they don't want to leave it to the streets. This seems like a good middle ground venue to discuss these issues as they come up with all the different stakeholders, including the police department, city officials, civic organizations, and stuff like that. So that's pretty good news. Last night at the city council meeting, there was quite a bit of debate over the road resurfacing program. I think I announced on this show a couple of weeks ago that $20 million or $24 million bond issue was recently floated to pay for the resurfacing of streets so that all streets would have fairly current resurfacing within 2 years. Well, it turns out it was not as good as it looked. A lot of the resurfacing was really, I wouldn't say just cosmetic, but just a very thin coating in a way that would not last more than 4 or 5 years. And I found out that my own main road, Harbor Boulevard, was only going to have one lane in each direction paved. It was only going to be less than an inch, and it was only going to last 4 years. So a lot of residents came in last night, talked about that, complained about it, and we realized that to do that street is not just a $250,000 project as envisioned, but it's a $3.5 million project. The question is, we don't have the money to do it. So last night they agreed in principle that they would try to pave all 4 lanes of Harbor Boulevard, and this is also true of other streets in the community too. They're coming back with a plan in a couple of weeks. But this is kind of like peeling the onion. They realize that we have a much bigger issue, that we really have close to $100 million, or $80 to $100 million worth of street repair needed, $160 million worth of wastewater work needed, and an indeterminate amount of work required for the water department. The problem is we don't have close to having the money. So several financial experts from the audience got up, such as Lawrence Stein, who's also running for mayor, and Jim Lavery, a very well-known financial expert who frequently has very heavy advice for the city. And what I read from the whole thing is, for all practical purposes, the city, if not financially bankrupt, is actually functionally bankrupt, in that there's so much deferred maintenance of the city's infrastructure that they can't possibly pay for it with any future envisioned revenue stream. So either they got to focus and eliminate some other programs, or they have to increase taxes. We're just not going to be able to keep up the way things are going now. So Greg Nyhoff, the city manager, said he will have the new consultant management partners look into the long-term budget approach, come back with some recommendations, because the piecemeal way it's being done the last few years simply ain't getting the job done at all, from what I can see. Now, to make matters worse, we currently have dozens of unfilled positions which are impacting service levels. We have, I think, 25 open police positions right now. We have dozens of open positions in public works, roads, and stuff like that. And all those things are impacting the level of service of the city. But the flip side of that is those unfilled positions are creating budget surpluses as well. So there was some debate about where to use those budget surpluses. Should we be using them for the police? Should we be using them for infrastructure? That has not yet been resolved. I was going to announce the debate tonight at 5 o'clock, but Abel did a much more able job than I possibly could. We will be there covering it for Citizens Journal. I understand that probably 9 of the 10 candidates will actually be there. You know, it's apparent to me at this point that the candidates have really differentiated themselves. I've watched 3 debates. I know some of the candidates personally or from their reputation. And it's evident to me right now, of the 7 candidates in City Council, there's 4 who really look strong, but they have different approaches on how they deal with the city. So the voter has to look at those candidates, try to figure out which ones are really most competent, and from there, which ones most closely match where the city should be going. I don't express opinions on this program, I just give news. So if you want to see opinions, you can look at our editorials. But I think it would be very desirable for voters to look at the 3 televised videos we already have on Citizens Journal of debates. And we're going to be televising this one tonight. I believe that that's being done by KADY-TV. It'll be on Citizens Journal within a couple of days, probably even sooner on KADY. And make an informed decision. This is really pretty important. I also want to let you know there is a congressional debate. Most people listening to this are in the 26th Congressional District, which is currently served by Julia Brownlee, a freshman congresswoman. She is running against Jeff Gorell, who is now an assemblyman, and they're having a debate at CLU on the 11th, which is this Saturday at 3 p.m. That's being moderated by the Acorn. And the last debate they moderated in May was very well done. So I think it will also be televised as well. So I highly recommend that you see that, because the congressional election is very important in terms of the country's priorities, where we go and how money is spent, and stuff like that. Also, I want to let you know that on Veterans Day, there's going to be a change in the festivities. Instead of the usual thing at Plaza Park, I understand there will be a flag raising at City Hall and a music at 10 a.m. and there will be a march from City Hall to Plaza Park, where the usual festivities at 11 a.m. will be conducted. The difference being that after the festivities, there will be free hot dogs, chips, and soda, presumably at the expense of the city. Also, I heard that there will be a free rabies shot clinic this rabies shot clinic is not for the candidates for city council, it's for pets, I understand.
I'm glad you clarified that.
Have to clarify that.
We have some humor in this session. I'm glad we
Guys
did.
really have it. There'll also be spay and neuter vouchers being given out, I understand, also for pets. And that's supposed to be at the service center on C Street. I have no idea where that is. Does anybody know where that is?
No, I can just see
We'll,
the laugh meter.
we'll try to get an announcement up as soon as I get the details.
Right.
I had the honor of being invited to cover the PAL National Boxing Championships. Now, where do you suppose those were? Los Angeles, New York, Chicago? Right here in Oxnard. I had no
Get
idea.
out of here,
Yeah,
really?
they were right here in Oxnard. And they are run by the local Oxnard PAL. Terrell Harris is just a genius at organization. He put on a wonderful affair. They had 300 or 400 boxers here over the period of a whole week, which ended Saturday, boxing simultaneously in 3 rings, which were covered and live streamed simultaneously by his staff. So you could go to the website and see any one of the 3 boxing rings at the same time. They had at least two Olympic champions that I know there, including Felicia Shields, who I mentioned earlier, to basically go around and talk to the public and stuff like that. I thought that was really good. Also want to mention that right here at our host site, the Corner Pocket, will be a Day of the Dead celebration on the night of Day of the Dead after Halloween. That's also their formal grand opening. This site is now open, but not formally, but it will be formally announced then. And last, I'd like to remind you to tune in to citizensjournal.us on the web, or Citizens Journal of Ventura County on Facebook. And keep in mind that our organization is fully supported by ads and donations only. If you'd like to advertise in the best up-and-coming publication in Ventura County, here we are. Thank you.
I gotta just build on the fact that you're talking about the political debates. Keep in mind too, we also have the Meet the Candidate series, which I think really gives a positive light, the human side of each of the candidates. You know, they talk a little bit about their stance, but it talks about their background, their mentors, their experience in life. And I think that's real, we think this is real important. in this
I
nation.
completely agree, because you're not just voting for a name, you're voting for a person with a background and a personality and beliefs. And I think that Peter has brought that out better than any local interviewer I've seen. I mean, there's nothing to even compare with the series. But normally he does one interview on who the person is, and the second interview on their candidacy. For example, he did one last week on Carmen Ramirez. I thought it was very well done.
You know, and also, I would pay big money to see you box that female boxer. You know, I think we would do a pay-per-view, and I would have Jesse Gonzalez be the fighting promoter. We do it over at the Elks Lot. All kidding aside.
Yeah, she's really fantastic. I mean, this gal came up out of the ghetto in Hardscrabble, Flint, Michigan, and ended up as a world champion boxer. And when she talks, she's just like a kid from the hood, but she has just amazing grit, amazing determination, and PAL and her local club helped her get there too. So
Amazing.
she has a future.
We need to promote more people like that.
I agree.
George,
Thank you.
always a privilege. I think we make history every time we make. So thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Peter.
Okay, this is Peter Godinez with, again, another version of George Miller Show. It's a comedian show too, as you can see. But until next time.